Hey everyone, I'm back with another sustainable fashion video, and today I just wanted to chat about how many SDG goals a better fashion industry can actually achieve. There are 17 goals, and I think it's really important that we have this because it gives us an agreed upon standard for what we're working towards. And look at how many of them are impacted by the fashion industry. You know, the fashion industry is literally connected across the entire world. We're just gonna go in chronological order. Goal number 1 is no poverty. We know that wealth across the world is so disproportionate. Most of us are privileged enough to live in developed countries, and a lot of the people that suffer from the cost of our fashion industry are the people that have to make the clothes or harvest the fibers that go into the clothes across the world in the global south, these developing countries. A lot of the areas where fashion factories are still developing countries. So if we can ask for living wages, for better working standards, I think it'll help eradicate poverty. The first 4 are literally just standard of living, right? No poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, and quality education. Actually improving their economic conditions will really help with this. The next one is SDG goal number 5, which is gender equality. And I do want to remind us that more than 80% of garment workers are disproportionately women and women of color. So when we're talking about who's bearing the cost of the fashion industry in terms of the waste, in terms of like working conditions of the people that are making the clothes, it's women. So when we're talking about improving the fashion industry, demanding better, demanding justice, we're talking about women's rights. Number 6 is clean water and sanitation, and I cannot stress this one enough. We use so much water in the fashion industry. Just an example of how much water it takes to grow cotton for a t-shirt, the amount of water it takes to just prepare denim. And a lot of the times, especially for fast fashion brands, they get away with using a lot of chemicals that are not properly taken care of, which will seep back into a lot of the water sources for these developing countries. I think a better fashion industry, one that is more regulated, one where brands can't get away with this because it's these brands that are working with these suppliers, these factories, they need to be held accountable. The 7th SDG goal is affordable and clean energy. We need to start seeing not only governments divest from fossil fuels, but these brands need to start committing to being carbon neutral. Any brand that's going to be emitting emissions into the environment needs to be held responsible for them. Number 8, decent work and economic growth. I feel like for this one, there's this argument in this fast fashion conversation a lot about, oh, well, if we don't shop these fast fashion brands, we're gonna not be able to support these garment workers in developing countries. But no, these brands can be paying these garment workers a lot. No matter what, these workers are always going to be exploited because that's the nature of capitalism, and that's how our fast fashion and fashion industry works at large. The 10th goal is reduced inequalities, and I think this is a really big one because inequality is the nature of the fast fashion industry. Like, we benefit because all we do is buy clothes, but we need to think about the people that have made the clothes and where these clothes are coming from. We also need to talk about where our clothes go once we're done with them. And we have a major fashion waste crisis. You can literally see piles of dumped clothing from space. We have been so used to consuming at mass and being like, well, it's not our problem, we're just gonna donate it. But a lot of donated clothes, like 85% of our donated clothes, are landfilled across the world, and that is also something that we need to be held responsible for. And again, it's usually in third world developing countries where they need to deal with it. So in terms of reducing inequalities, a better fashion industry is going to help with that. Goal 12 is responsible consumption and production, and this is huge. This is probably the root of the sustainable fashion conversation. We need to be expecting brands to be producing better, and we also need to be consuming less, consuming smarter, consuming more intentionally. Fast fashion and fashion in general is an emotional thing. They are marketing towards us to get us to buy, to get us to feel like we need newness, to feel like we don't have anything to wear. And a lot of it is, you know, manufactured in a way where we feel like we need to buy all the time. So whether we want to be talking about consuming and buying less in general, if we want to be buying better, so supporting brands that use like biodegradable, compostable, recycled materials, or expecting brands to be producing things like that using clean energy, I think that this is a really big goal that we can reach. And the last goal I want to talk about is goal 13, which is climate action. And I feel like anything that we do should be related to climate action because we only have one planet and it is burning. And I feel like fashion, why I'm passionate about it, is that everybody wears clothes And I think this is a conversation that we can all have. Not only does the fashion industry span so much of the world in terms of how and who it impacts, everybody wears clothes, so we can all be a part of this conversation and it will be meaningful to us. So this is a really easy way to participate in climate action, is to demand better from the companies that you've always bought from, that you have clothing from. So participating in climate action doesn't have to be a scary thing. Everybody can be an activist in their own way. It can be as little as, oh, I'm not going to buy fast fashion today. Oh, I'm gonna be just buying less. Oh, I'm gonna just like not change my buying habits, but have more conversations and participate in these conversations with my friends, with the community. I feel like these are great ways to just start, because I think we all need to start somewhere, and there's no such thing as being a perfect activist, but I think we all just need to be part of this conversation. So I think it's amazing how much progress we can make towards so many of these goals by expecting better in the fashion industry. And obviously a lot of it comes down to government regulation and actually demanding that by voting, and by voting through our dollars. But I really think that all of the little things can add up to make really positive impacts and changes and progress on all of these goals. So yes, I can talk about this fashion industry that I dream of, that, you know, is the most ideal, sustainable, and ethical industry, and we're gonna have to work towards that. It's not gonna happen overnight. I think through having the right conversations about it, through education, and through getting people to know more of like what we should be expecting and what needs to change, we can get there. No matter your circumstances or what brands that you buy from, I think all of us can be demanding better from the industry in general, and that's free. I hope that this video could help even just, you know, start the conversation. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts below. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye everyone.